Dak Prescott got injured in the Buccaneers game on Sunday Night Football. It's a right thumb fracture. And at first, the report was Dak is out 6 to 8 weeks after the surgery. But Jerry Jones has said that he could play within the next 4 weeks. Well, at the 4th week. I'm not going to say within the next 4 weeks, but Dak Prescott can come back relatively soon. But do you think the Dallas Cowboys season is over as we stand here right now?
The way that they looked on Sunday night with Dak Prescott, the season wasn't going to be what all the Dallas Cowboys fans were hoping for. CeeDee Lamb, he showed me a glimpse of what I'd thought but kind of backtracked on, and I'm kind of upset at myself. I don't think CeeDee Lamb's a true wide receiver one. He has to prove it this season. I don't know if he will, especially now that Dak Prescott's going to be out probably a month. Jerry Jones, I think, is trying to save face.
You're saying he has to prove it now, but Dak out?
No.
Oh, or when he gets back.
I'm saying in general, he has to prove it, but I'm saying with Dak Prescott being out at least a month, and to talk about that, Jerry Jones could be just speaking hogwash. A broken right thumb's not something to mess with. It's on your throwing arm. I think he's trying to hold out hope for this Cowboys team because he understands that this ship is sinking fast. Defense, it looked all right. Micah Parsons really is just
oh God.
You have Aaron Donald. There's Micah Parsons. He's just otherworldly amazing.
Parsons or TJ Watt?
Parsons.
I'd probably go Parsons, linebacker, and probably
TJ Watt was unbelievable.
No, TJ's amazing,
Sunday.
but the fact that he can drop into coverage too is
I'd go TJ, but Parsons is 3.
I just see Micah Parsons.
He's a unicorn.
The way he edge rushes, he gets to the quarterback in half a second.
Like if he was a
literally
full-time,
something I have never seen.
If he was
before.
a full-time edge rusher, dude, we're looking at top 2, maybe the best pass rusher in the league, and that's with TJ Watt being as dominant as he is.
Well, just quick question.
The offense looked bad. Zeke came out. He looked very good to start, and then they lost the lead. They couldn't really get in the flow of things. Him and Tony Pollard, I think that Zeke only had 2 more snaps, just outsnapped him. Just the offense as a whole looked very sloppy even before Dak Prescott went out. This is just not a team that I'm in love with going forward. And listen, I like the Cowboys a lot. Joel knows this. I've supported the Cowboys for years now.
Jersey.
I do have a Zeke jersey. Zeke is he's one of my favorite players. I've loved him since he was even at Ohio State. But I just cannot look at this team right now and think that this is a playoff team.
So week 4 is the Rams.
Week 5. 4 weeks from the injury.
Yes,
though.
yes. Yeah. So they would play the Bengals, the Giants, Commanders, Rams. That's tough. You know, I think based off what you've seen from CeeDee Lamb last year, going into what you just seen from week 1, I don't think you can say I don't know if he's a true wide receiver number 1. There's just not enough evidence to really support that because Coop just left, and that game 1 was against the Bucs. You know, it was a tough game, and the team didn't look good. It's just him out there, so I don't think you can make that full assessment. But the season's pretty much over. Like I just named those teams. Those are tough games. They can lose to the Commanders. The Rams, I don't think they'll win that game. And then after the Rams game, they got Philly, and then they got Green Bay. So those are another 2 tough games. I just think right now, offensively, they're not going to be good enough to keep at pace. I think the defense is solid, but like we mentioned, when Dak and CeeDee Lamb were in the game, they didn't look good together. The connection wasn't there. CeeDee Lamb he just was bugging yesterday. So I don't think they'll make the playoffs. I think they could finish under the Commanders. We'll see how Carson Wentz looks. He's up and down. He's very inconsistent, but I think this is a team in Dallas who is probably going to have a high draft pick because they're not going to make the playoffs.
This could cost Mike McCarthy his job. Obviously before Dak even got hurt, like we mentioned, the offense didn't look good. And now you're going to have Cooper Rush in, and he's going to be the worst quarterback every game you play compared to the opposing guy. You did mention the Packers play the Packers a few weeks after Philly. It's Lions, Chicago, the bye, then the Packers. So you would think by then, week 10 against the Packers, he should be back. My initial guess was he'd be back after the bye for week 10. I know Jerry Jones came out and said, it's only going to be a 4-week injury. But if you rush him back in 4 weeks, this is your franchise guy. I'm not a doctor.
The bye is after the Packers, right?
Before. Week 9's the bye, week 10's the Packers.
They got Packers, Vikings,
After
Giants.
that's tough. So if you rush him back too early and he's not 100%, he's not throwing the ball right, you're still probably going to lose games and probably lengthen that injury where he can't get back to 100%. Over these next 4, 5, 6 games, best case scenario, they win 2 games, right? And if you're looking at 2-6 record heading into the bye week, it's going to be rough to overcome that. Even though the NFC isn't great, the NFC East isn't great. It's just such a deep hole for them. the season's likely over. And for CeeDee Lamb, I also didn't think he was a true wide receiver one, but I thought this season with Amari Cooper leaving, just the target share he was going to get was going to give him the numbers to make people think that he'd be a wide receiver one or in the conversation for that top 10 with the, DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson, which is probably the tier he's still in regardless.
He should have separated himself from the pack.
But he should have been above them after this season.
Correct.
With Dak going down, with the targets being a lot less efficient, we're probably going to look at CeeDee Lamb as a high-end wide receiver too.
That's tough. He's a dog. Yeah, sleeping.
The Dallas Cowboys season is done.
I love how you start sometimes, man.
Looking at their options at quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo has been a name that's thrown out there. Cam Newton has been a name.
Ugh.
I've even seen Teddy Bridgewater.
Okay.
And
I say ugh to Cam Newton. Just because Cam Newton's been so bad. Cam's a legend. I just want to get that out there.
I'm focused on Jimmy Garoppolo right now.
Okay.
He would come to Dallas, have a worse offensive line, have worse offensive weapons,
Let me hear this.
have a running room that the talent is better, but you trust Shanahan scheming more than Dallas scheming in the run game, and worse coaching and a worse defense. Jimmy Garoppolo was doing absolutely nothing in Dallas, and I don't think he changes the outcome of these next couple of games more so than Cooper Rush would. He would come into Dallas learning a whole new, brand new system,
not what I was
new
expecting.
terminology.
Yeah.
Very tough.
It's not. I just don't think it's feasible for Jimmy Garoppolo to come in and win games. Although people label him this winner, we know he's carried by the Niners.
That's what he did in San Fran. Got traded, won games. That's really what happened.
If they get Jimmy G, it's because McCarthy pushed for it because he knows that I'm screwed with Rush.
We are going to be giving away NBA 2K23 Legendary Editions to a couple of you guys, and all you have to do is sign up for Boom Fantasy, deposit $10, which is you're putting in $10 to get a $150 game. On top of that, you play Boom, you can double your money with your deposit. So you can make money
40 times with long
40
shots?
So if you want to join in the giveaway, then sign up for Boom. The link is in our bio.
But ensure that you guys make that $10 deposit. That's the only way that you gain entrance into this raffle.
And based on who wins, you guys tell us what version you want, the Legendary one, Dreamers Edition, which console, or you want it for PC. It's up to you. But I think that's a great deal.
Maybe we'll go on live on TikTok for the first time.
And NBA 2K23, I heard it's
great.
I heard it's looking great.
Riv, confirm, deny?
Fire.
That's tough.
Just make sure you use our link because if you don't use our link, we don't know that's where you're coming from. We don't know you're coming from. Pick a side.
Link in the description.
Link description
Link
or the
in the
bio.
description.
For me, I look at the Cowboys and just talking about the Bucs game, they looked bad.
Horrible.
Really
if
bad.
it wasn't for Micah Parsons being insanely freakishly athletic and great, then the Buccaneers offense would have had their way. He's what's saving them on defense because he got after Tom Brady. I blinked and he was already sacking him.
That's a fact.
The offensive line was horrible. It was abysmal. The wide receivers, the weapons, outside of CeeDee Lamb, there's nobody else that you have to pay attention to. And if the offensive line is bad, it's going to be a direct reflection of Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott's production. Now, I know the Cowboys are a team that everybody likes to laugh at and mock because they are a big-time and passionate fan base. But the truth about it is that Dak Prescott, I feel bad for him. The Cowboys fans, I feel bad for them. Because for as much as Jerry Jones likes to talk a big game about how he wants to win championships and win Super Bowls, he never puts his money where his mouth is. He never restructures contracts to free up cap space and build this team around these quarterbacks. He's now about to waste the careers of Tony Romo and Dak Prescott. Tony Romo and Dak Prescott, are they elite?
Show some respect on Tony, please.
No, I was just going to say, I feel like the Cowboys have had some really good rosters.
They have.
Yeah.
Tony Romo and Dak Prescott, are they elite level quarterbacks? They are not. But they are top 13-ish quarterbacks. Yeah. That's for sure. And when you have a quarterback of that caliber, you need to surround them with elite level talent on all phases of the ball. Kind of like how Stafford goes to the Rams and you have that overwhelming amount of talent around him. But you do the opposite. I mean, this offseason, La'el Collins goes, Connor Williams goes, Amari Cooper goes. Defensively, Randy Gregory goes. Byron Jones, a couple years ago, he goes. They fail to keep talent on their roster, and that's why the Cowboys have so many holes. The Cowboys, outside of Trayvon Diggs, the secondary is pretty thin. The safeties are thin. The linebackers, if you're not talking about Micah Parsons, it's thin. The offensive line is thin. The receivers are thin. This roster is not good enough, and you're tasking Dak Prescott to lead and carry this franchise. And did he get paid to do so? Yes. But you also have to support your quarterback, and I don't think Jerry Jones has done that. And that's not even talking about how Jerry Jones's decision-making in terms of who to hire as head coach has been absolutely abysmal.
That's the issue.
Jason Garrett was the Cowboys head coach for way too long. Had Jason Garrett not been the head coach, they'd probably win in Dak's rookie year. That roster was elite, but Jason Garrett was the coach. And now after you move on from Jason Garrett, you get washed, old up, used goods in Mike McCarthy, who proved he couldn't win in years with Aaron Rodgers, and now you think he's going to win with Dak. Jerry Jones is not taking a risk. He has not taken a risk like Stephen Jones in Miami and going after Mike McDaniel. Minnesota going after Kevin O'Connell, going after Kyle Shanahan. The way the league is trending, he's going for these safe guys, and these safe guys are not getting the job done. And it's either safe or favoritism. With Jason Garrett, It was favoritism, and you saw how that played out. Jerry Jones, I think, has ruined the Cowboys, and year after year, we build up these expectations, but these rosters have holes. I thought they were barely getting into the playoffs this year. With Dak's injury, they're a 6-7 win team. I'd say 6-win team.
That might be nice. I think the biggest issue, like you said, is coaching, because they've had really good rosters. I mean, Dak came into the league with the best offensive line, with probably the best rushing attack. Year 2, they got Amari Cooper, I want to say, got him a wide receiver 1. And then later on, they get CeeDee Lamb in the draft in the first round. And even last year was maybe their most talented team, at least offensively. The offensive line staying healthy.
But
the two receivers.
That first year, I think that first year.
That's
Dak
fair, too. I'm just saying, Dak, you know what I'm saying? Like this Dak.
The first year is the only year where I say that's a Super Bowl caliber roster.
That team was
last year was more of a dark horse pick. They have the talent.
But they had the talent. It's been the coaching. That's been the biggest issue. Is Jason Garrett and Mike McCarthy. That's why they haven't been able to get over that playoff hump. But the rosters have been good enough. I think if you're Dak, you're a borderline top 10 quarterback. You've had the offensive firepower. At least there's been some years the defense hasn't been living up to expectations. But it's the coaching more so than anything.
I mean, I agree with everything you guys are saying so far. Mike McCarthy last season and his clock management was very poor. And that really was something that you had to highlight, especially in that San Fran game where, yes, I want to blame McCarthy for that, but I do want to blame Prescott for that. You can't slide in that situation and not just run or you can't run in that situation as a whole. I think that
this also was a design play, though.
It was, and even then, I still have to look at the coaching for calling that play as well. I get it. You got a great chunk of yards there, but you got to be mindful of the clock. You got to be mindful of how many timeouts you do or do not have. Mike McCarthy is 100% going to be on the hot seat. This team as a whole is not very good, and when you don't have a fringe top 10 quarterback in Dak Prescott leading your team, it's going to lead to some bad things.
Also, when you pay Dak, this is going to what happens too. You're not going to be able to keep Gregory around and Amari Cooper and all these guys, even though, like you mentioned, the restructuring, like the Rams figure out a way to do it, right? Like the Saints do it. Why can't the Cowboys? But when you pay Dak 40+ mil, which 100% think they should have done, this is the issue you run into.
If money wasn't an issue, they would have gone out and they would have spent some money on Allen Robinson.
And for Dallas, it shouldn't be.
You understand what I'm saying?
They could even got Julio for nothing.
For sure.
Facts.
Like Dallas is the franchise that's worth the most. It should not be a problem for them to go out the pocket.
Talking 100% facts. You understand that Dak Prescott needs weapons around him. You saw what happened when you brought in Amari Cooper and how immediately that changed the landscape of, we can go and win the whole damn thing. And now you put him in a situation where, well, obviously now he's hurt, and hindsight's 20/20, but you put him out there with CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, and you said, hey, man, get it together and make it work for us. You're asking a lot of him.
I also don't want to take away blame from Kellen Moore. I had my question marks about Kellen Moore before the season. I thought he was an average play caller that had a lot of talent as a play caller. And now that first game was an example of Kellen Moore is a very limited play caller. he's not very creative in the playoffs. I remember he sent out offensive linemen to run curl routes, and there was plays where he sent out 2 of them on one play. I think Kellen Moore has been overrated, and that's another example of favoritism. Jerry Jones loves Kellen Moore, and he's favored, but now when you don't have Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup and Dalton Schultz and Zeke and Pollard, and you just have CeeDee and Schultz in a running game that doesn't have an offensive line, what can you do? And Kellen Moore looked very limited in that game, and I'm not a huge fan of Kellen Moore, and the fact that he was getting head coaching buzz, I think, was ridiculous because I don't think he's a good play caller.
Jerry will have a chance after this year because I don't think he fires McCarthy midseason. Historically, Jerry Jones really has never fired coaches midseason. I think he might have done it one time. So I think he lasts the season, but he'll get a chance after this to hire a different guy.
But even like Tony Romo, Wade Phillips, Jason Garrett, Tony Romo did not have great head coaches. He had offensive lines that, for the most part, he was getting beat up.
And did I read this right? Tyler Smith didn't play a single snap in the preseason at left tackle. I think he was only working at guard or right tackle. Yeah. And week 1, they finally go and they throw him out there. Of course he's going to struggle.
They drafted him to be the left tackle, though.
And they had an injury on the line, too. I forgot who got hurt. One of their guards, I think.
They just didn't put him at left tackle because that's where Tyron Smith is.
And they signed Jason Peters, too, who I think they might have been expected to play week 1.
Screaming.
Yeah, I mean,
that man is cooked.
Yeah, he's 39.
40.
He's old.